You're doing all the right things. You're committed to no contact. You're hitting the gym. You're journaling. You're becoming this secure, high-value person. And you're telling yourself, and maybe everyone else, that you're doing it for you. But if we're being really honest, there's a secret agenda, isn't there? A quiet hope that once your avoidant ex sees this incredible new version of you, confident, calm, and non-needy, they'll finally feel safe enough to come running back. It's the ultimate validation, the grand prize at the end of all your hard work. It's the story we're all told. And I'm here to tell you that in many cases, it's a dangerous fantasy. In fact, your healing might be the very thing that guarantees they can never return. What if I told you that the more you heal, the more you grow, and the more you embody that secure, high-value energy, the more you might actually be cementing the reality that they can't return? What if your transformation isn't the welcome mat you think it is, but is instead a blinding, terrifying mirror? A mirror that reflects their deepest shame, forcing them to idealize you from a safe distance as the one that got away, precisely because you became someone they could never face again. Stay with me, because we're about to dismantle one of the biggest myths about avoidant exes. Understanding this paradox isn't about getting them back. It's about getting yourself free, once and for all. First, let's get on the same page with some attachment theory. And to be crystal clear, we are talking about a dismissive avoidant attachment style, a pattern of behavior in relationships, not a clinical diagnosis like avoidant personality disorder, which is a much more severe and pervasive condition affecting all areas of life. People with a dismissive avoidant attachment style are often driven by a core wound that equates deep intimacy with a loss of self, a threat to their independence. Their nervous system is wired to see emotional closeness as a danger. So when a relationship gets too deep or conflict arises, their go-to coping mechanism is deactivation. They shut down, create distance, and pull away to feel safe again. After a breakup, this often shows up as separation elation. They feel this initial, profound wave of relief. The pressure's off. They have their space back. They can finally breathe. During this time, they can suppress their feelings so effectively it looks like they never cared at all. This isn't because they're heartless. It's an automatic, deeply ingrained survival strategy. Now, the popular advice you hear everywhere, and a strategy we even map out in my 30 Days of No Contact Shorts playlist, is this: just give them space. Work on yourself. When they see you're not chasing them, their nervous system will calm down. They'll start to miss you, and they'll come back because you're finally safe. And look, that can happen. But we need to be brutally honest about the kind of safety that often invites an unhealed avoidant back. The safety they're usually looking for isn't the safety of a healthy, secure partner. It's the safety of a predictable power dynamic where they can stay in control. Let's imagine the scenario where an avoidant ex does return based on this flawed idea of safety. This usually happens when the other partner, often someone with an anxious attachment style, hasn't really done the deep work. Sure, you've got no contact, but you're still orbiting. You're watching their stories, overanalyzing every move, and basically living in a state of suspended animation, just waiting. Your life still has a giant, X-shaped hole in it. After a few weeks or months, the avoidance relief starts to fade. The silence gets a little too loud. Loneliness, an emotion they desperately try to avoid, starts creeping in. Maybe they tried a shallow rebound that fizzled out, or they just found that their prized independence feels empty. So they test the waters. A meme, a casual "how are you?", a like on an old photo. Why? Because you represent familiarity. In their mind, you're still the person who was more invested. Coming back to you doesn't challenge their sense of self, it reinforces it. Their internal story is, "I just needed a break, and now I can go back. I'm in control." They feel safe because the dynamic hasn't really shifted. They can dip a toe back into the connection without feeling engulfed because they see you as a constant, waiting source of validation. But here's the devastating truth. This kind of reunion is almost always a replay, not a rebirth. It's the start of the next cycle in the anxious avoidant trap. Because they haven't addressed their core wounds, the second real intimacy is required again. The deactivation strategies will fire up. They'll pull away, and you'll be left feeling abandoned all over again. Their return wasn't a sign of growth. It was a quick fix for their own loneliness. Now, let's talk about what happens when you genuinely transform. I'm not talking about a revenge body or posting performative, look how great my life is pictures. I mean a deep, fundamental upgrade of your entire way of being. You have truly moved on. You've regulated your nervous system. You don't need their validation to feel whole anymore. You've built rock-solid boundaries, which means you no longer entertain breadcrumbs or flaky behavior. You have a vibrant life filled with new passions, new friends, and a sense of purpose that has nothing to do with them. You don't just act secure, you are secure. When your avoidant ex, in a moment of loneliness, inevitably checks in on you, this is what they see. They don't see the person they left. They see someone who is thriving, not in spite of their absence, but simply because you are a person who thrives. And here's the paradox. For many, their first reaction isn't relief. It's not, "Oh good, they're healthy now, it's safe to go back." No, a common psychological response is a tidal wave of pure, unadulterated shame. It's important to know the difference between guilt and shame. Guilt says, "I did a bad thing." An avoidant can feel guilt for hurting you. But shame is much deeper. Shame says, "I am bad." It's an attack on the core self. Your genuine, radiant security becomes a mirror reflecting everything they feel they are not. It highlights their inability to commit, their emotional immaturity, and their self-sabotaging patterns. When you were anxious and chasing, they could subconsciously blame the relationship's problems on you. She was too needy. He was too demanding. Your reactions, however justified, became their excuse to leave. But now, with you standing in your full, secure power, that excuse is gone. There's no one left to blame. All that's left is them and their own patterns. The story they told themselves to justify the breakup crumbles. In its place is a devastating thought. The problem was me. I wasn't good enough. I let someone amazing go because I was scared. For someone whose identity is built on self-reliance and a secret belief that they're somehow flawed, this level of shame can feel existentially threatening. It threatens to shatter the fragile ego they've built to protect themselves. Faced with this potentially overwhelming shame, the unhealed avoidance mind can do something remarkable to protect itself. It doesn't allow them to step up, apologize, and do the work. That would require a level of vulnerability they just aren't capable of yet. Instead, they can engage in a powerful defense mechanism, idealization. They place you on an impossibly high pedestal. You become the phantom ex, the one that got away, the perfect partner they foolishly lost. They'll replay the relationship in their mind, but with some heavy editing. They'll romanticize the good times and minimize the problems their own behavior caused. You become a flawless, almost mythical figure. This psychological move serves two critical purposes for them. First, it reframes their failure in a way that feels safer. By making you too good for them, they create a story where the breakup was inevitable. It wasn't that they failed, it was that you were always out of their league. This turns their fear of commitment into a noble, tragic flaw instead of just fear. It's a story of "I wasn't worthy," which hurts a lot less than "I was too scared to try." Second, and most importantly, it keeps you at a safe distance forever. By turning you into an untouchable ideal, they never have to face the real you again. Reaching out to the real you would mean confronting that mirror of their shame. But pining for the fantasy of you allows them to feel a sense of connection without any of the risks of actual intimacy. This is why you might hear through friends that they still talk about you constantly. Or you see them lurking on your social media, watching every story, but never reaching out. They are interacting with your ghost. They're in a relationship with your memory, because it's the only one where they feel completely safe from the perceived threat of your fully realized, secure self. If this is hitting home right now, I want you to know you're not crazy and you're not alone. This is a tough dynamic to break free from. To help you get more clarity on your own patterns, I've created a free attachment style quiz. It can be the first step in understanding not just them, but yourself. The link is in the description. Check it out after this video. So, what happens to the avoidant who has put you on this pedestal? They typically find themselves at a crossroads with two main paths. Path 1 is continued avoidance. They'll carry a torch for your memory, maybe for years. They'll hold you up as their great lost love, the reason they can't commit to anyone else. They may jump into a series of shallow relationships, always finding fault, always comparing the new person to the idealized you. They stay stuck, haunted by a ghost of their own making. unable to do the work for a real, healthy relationship. Path 2 is the crash. Sometimes, after enough failed relationships and lonely nights, the pain of their own patterns becomes greater than the pain of facing them. They hit rock bottom. This is what might finally lead them to therapy or a genuine journey of self-reflection. But here is the final, brutal twist. Even if they take this path and start to heal, it still doesn't mean they will come back. In fact, a truly healing avoidant often realizes that the most respectful and loving thing they can do is leave you in peace. They recognize that their return would reopen old wounds and that you've built a beautiful new life. True accountability sometimes means accepting the consequences of your actions, and one of those is losing the right to be in someone's life. So where does that leave you? It leaves you with the only thing that ever truly mattered, your own freedom. For so long, you may have been operating under the assumption that winning means they come back. You've been measuring your progress by whether or not it makes you more attractive to them. I am telling you right now, burn that scorecard. The win is not their text. The win is you no longer checking your phone for it. The win is not them coming back. The win is you building a life you wouldn't want to leave. The win is not them finally seeing your worth. The win is you knowing your worth so deeply that their validation becomes irrelevant. Your transformation into a secure person was never about them. It was about you. And if your growth makes you so whole and so self-respecting that they can only admire you from a distance, that isn't a rejection. It is the ultimate confirmation of your healing. You have become someone they can only regret, not someone they can hurt again. You have become the one that got away. And in doing so, you have finally, truly, gotten away yourself. You won your life back. Don't ever give it away again. Thanks for watching. If this video brought you some clarity, please like and subscribe for more content that explores the psychology of relationships and healing. And now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment and share one thing you're doing to reclaim your power and heal for yourself. Let's support each other. You've got this. Keep healing.